When did you meet Dad?
I met him a few years ago, and we really got on really good together, and I think he's done a lot of good for us out there. Talked about Mungo and did different things.
So he helped teach you about some of the stuff that was going on there?
Yes, he did. Yeah. That was a big thing about him, finding Mungo Man and Mungo Lady. It was a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
I really reckon it was, you know.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here we are 40 years later. So now we're going to help spread that word much further, Joan, because not many people know about it.
No, they don't.
And do you think that's a good idea to get students around Australia starting to think about this and learn about this?
It is.
Well, I think as the curriculum consultant with the Indigenous education team here at Catholic Ed in South Australia, I think this kind of resource is absolutely invaluable, and we've been very happy to support Jacquie and Jenny with their work, and to have some of our teachers trialling this, because we see it as such an important piece of history. I mean, it's just so crucial for our students to gain an understanding of the deep history of Australia and to learn what they can about the longevity of Aboriginal civilisation through a study of this MUNGO EXPLORER resource. And I think that the work that Jacquie and Jenny have done is just wonderful, and it's a wonderful opportunity for teachers to engage with this content and to get the support and to tap into the depth of knowledge that's come via Jenny through Jim Bowler, and to be able to have the resource sheets, the background information, the suggestions, the lesson plans available that can be tweaked, and from which teachers can select perhaps what they feel is most important to cover, is just a wonderful resource.
I think Jim's work really gives people an understanding of how extended Australia's history is. So what we've got through this project, what you're doing, is you're allowing people to get access to that. And I think that it gives people the context so that they can make sense of it in their own classrooms. And I also think they get inspired by the ideas that are there. So gifted kids, for example, can really engage with stories and understandings which take them beyond just the surface layer of it. So that excites me, the fact that it's multi-leveled. That some kids can get an idea that, people have been on this planet for such a long time, but then other kids can get involved in the idea of how do they problem solve this, how do they deal with change, how do they move, where were they coming from, what were their stories, how do they interpret the landscape. So I think Jim's work just gives that lens to that. And if every kid in Australia started to get an idea or a set of ideas about what a great country we have and how much respect we should have for, not just should have, but can have for the first Australians, then I think that's the gift that's been given.
My nan was the first one out there at Mungo, meeting all the scientific world, and and it was pretty mind-boggling for her back then in them early days. And she carried a dictionary around with her, so she could understand them big, gigantic words that all the scientific people were coming out with. For it to go into the schools is just amazing, and I know that was one of my nan's aspirations, was for Aboriginal education to be taught in schools, and it's finally happening, and it's a wonderful and amazing experience, that journey that we're all going to go on. The elders knew that working with the scientific world would eventually put their story out there, and I feel the most important people are your dad, Jim Bowler, and my nan, Alice Kelly, because they were the first ones out there. He was the first scientific person and she was the first Aboriginal person.
using this resource has been exciting for the children. They are very excited. They look forward to lessons. A whole lot of knowledge for myself. I've been learning. I'm a learner, and I acknowledge that. Both Pam and I acknowledge that in every lesson, that we're also learning. We've made exciting discoveries along with the children. And as I said, we're hope-filled that we're giving this knowledge to these future generations, really.
Also, I think the exciting part about it is the whole idea about the sustainability of the area, the age of it. I don't think many of us realise the extent of the time that the Aboriginal people have been in Australia, and also making connections for the children. So that's probably the most important thing, that I think they are respectful of the other cultures as well.
And it's something different. It's not your lesson on painting a boomerang or a dot painting, or the stereotypical type of images that they've been sort of used to in the past, I guess. And it's this really wonderful story that's still ongoing, and Lake Mungo is still giving up lots of its secrets.
I'm really excited about using this with a Year 7 class, because it gives a lot of opportunity for transforming learning and guiding students into the mindset where they're learning and gaining knowledge for an ethical outcome. And I really appreciate how this program is offering students the opportunity to embrace and acknowledge the richness and the depth of the Aboriginal culture in Australia, and acknowledge the room and the capacity for mutual sharing of knowledge and what we can learn from various cultural groups. The teacher embarks on the learning journey with the students, so the students aren't viewed as passive recipients of knowledge. The teacher is learning with them. They're using an inquiry model whereby questions are asked, hypotheses are tested, ideas are challenged, and therefore students gain respect for the teacher and their willingness to continue their growth as well.
I guess what we've got most is that the children have seen the longevity of the Indigenous population here in Australia, and that there is a real deep, rich history that they had no idea of, and probably neither did I. The thought of being in the kitchens of generations 40,000 years ago and seeing that they had different ways of cooking by the evidence they've left behind with their fires, and little things like that. To see that we have a part in that going into the future, and the concepts of reconciliation, the fact that now the Indigenous people and the scientists are both equally excited to discover their history and what that means for them as people groups and for us as humanity, I guess.
My grandmother's always said it's important to get this the Aboriginal history taught in the schools, as well as an elderly lady, Auntie Alice Kelly. She always, preached that and said, the wider Australian communities need to learn more about the Aboriginal history. Jim's work, what he has done in the past, he's worked closely with the elderly people, and, myself, he's one of my elders, so we've adopted him. But with Jim, he's very committed to what he's doing. And I think with the disc and all the work what he's done over the years, I think that it's about time that it's been taught, and it's good that Jenny has had a look at this disc and really, put her head together with the help of Jacquie to, put this resource kit together, and I think that's really important. I think the best way to explore Mungo is to come out on country and walk with the traditional people within the amazing landscape. There's new mysteries coming out all the time. With the revealing of the erosion, what we've got out there, revealing stuff all the time. We've got the human remains, Mungo man, Mungo lady, dated 40,000 plus years old. we've got our human footprints dated at 19 to 23,000 years old. But looking at it all, we've got good partnership with the landholders, the scientific community, the Aboriginal community from the 3 tribes. They work together, the Barkindji, Mati and the Ngimpa people. And with it we run a MUNGO Youth project every 2 years, and that's a way of also connecting the youths, the schools to country. They'll learn different subjects, whether it's climate change, whether it's megafauna, so they're getting the inside of it. So I think I'll see you out at MUNGO.
My name's Lewis O'Brien, I'm a Kaurna elder, and I was rapt today to hear the story of Lake Mungo. I remember back in 1969 when it first came out, and I thought, wow, what a wonderful story, and really it's elating to see that, and the way it's being done, I think it's just meaningful, because it's so positive and shows a different light on Aboriginal people. It's something we need, because what I see so much of is negative reporting in papers of Aboriginals, and really it should stop after over 200 years, because they got the land, so what are they on about, So I think this is wonderful you're doing it.